you say that you only want me. That you only want me. Some kind of magic, you came into my life, and with that bedhead, you give me falling twice. Yeah, you're an angel and always on my mind. I wanna love you like I do on my own. Yeah, this is what it's about when it's just you and I, and the stars in the sky and the heart on the motor. It's so much better if we're gone. If I could live all my life tonight.
Hi guys, welcome back to yet another video. If you're new around here, my name is Marcelina. I am a 15-year-old mystery romance author. I've published one book thus far, The Blood That Divides Us, and I am currently in the process of writing and now editing my second YA mystery romance that is entitled Labeled Innocent Presumed Dead. It is releasing February 14th, yes, Valentine's Day, you heard it here, of next year, 2026. It'll be on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, basically any bookstore where you buy books, and I'm super excited about it. So that one, Labeled Innocent Presumed Dead, is comparable to like the Natural series and the Inheritance Game series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, Pretty Little Liars, as well as actual true crime cases kind of woven in there. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, consider sticking around and maybe following my journey. After that like rambly intro, because I basically say the same thing every single video, just like different pitch. Same thing, different font, no pun intended. But this is actually a really special vlog because I've been doing a couple of like filler videos the last couple of weeks. I've been doing things on like my experience writing this book and then like some tips on how to write a book and all of that. And that is great. Don't get me wrong. I love helping other writers around here. That's kind of where the base and foundation of my channel grew from. I have a simultaneous goal of like, yeah, marketing my own books, but then also like helping other writers, specifically teen writers, navigate this really complicated, messy journey. So those are fun. Don't get me wrong. But I have not done an actual vlog in a couple weeks, and I am itching to do one. So you'll notice at the end of July I had made a vlog where I wrote 10,000 words in a day, finished draft 1. It was this whole thing. It was a moment, okay? It was interesting, okay? We're gonna leave it at that. Go check out that video if you want like my full reaction and analysis and feelings. But that was something. And I'm a firm believer in giving yourself a break between draft 1 and draft 2. So I gave myself not even a week and a half. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it or try to push it. I finished that book on a Thursday, and today is currently Monday. So it's been barely more than a week, but that's not the point, because today is August 4th. Talking about deadlines, I need to get this draft 2, completed by September 4th, so exactly a month from today, in order to send it to beta readers that weekend, because I want to send it to them on the 5th, which is a Friday, and that's like a good strategical time, and I have already made commitments and promises to them. So we do have like a firm deadline for this. So we have to get started today. If you're wondering what draft 2 entails, I feel like everyone's definition of what a draft kind of does for a book, like what you're supposed to do for each draft, it really varies, and I'm not here to tell you this is what it should be, this is like the hard concrete rules, because I'm also a firm believer in, other than obviously like grammatical rules, writing does not really have any rules. Aside from the actual like English portion of it, like writing is so freeing, and especially publishing too. So for me personally, draft number 2 is like the developmental edit stage. So this is where a lot of the big picture, plot related, 7 beats, timeline, all of that kind of stuff comes into play. Now, that's not to say that I don't do like the little like line by line level, like sentence level revisions, because I definitely do. I cannot help myself. The perfectionist in me just like, if I see a really cringy line of dialogue, I'm not gonna wait until line edits, which for me is usually like drafts 4 or 5, to fix it. I'm gonna fix it now, but that's not my main focus, okay? The prose, the writing style itself, how pretty or poetic these sentences are, is not my main focus with this draft. My main focus with this is, again, the big stuff, the plot related things, plot holes, big gaps in the chronological order of events, rewriting whole chapters, adding in a whole new scene or something if I feel like it's necessary, like the really, really big stuff that takes a lot of time, that can either literally like shrink my word count or make it grow exponentially. In other words, what I'm trying to say is draft 2 is typically, for me personally, the most intense draft. From here on out, like after this draft, I mean, I do have the beta draft, which is draft 3, and I'll change some plot related stuff depending on their feedback. We'll just have to see. But for the most part, after I finish this draft, it's kind of smooth sailing. It's just kind of like the fine tuning, like almost putting the makeup on. It's still like kind of important to the finished product, but it's not essential. Like it's still gonna look really pretty without it, if that makes sense. So I'm doing like the really, really, really heavy lifting, big, significant stuff right now in the next month, starting today. So that's what we're in for. Welcome to this vlog. This is our first editing vlog. I've been doing writing vlogs for like 2 months straight, so to do an editing vlog is crazy. Let me just kind of explain my process real quick. This is going to be a little bit of a chatty intro, but then we will get on with it. So my process for approaching this, because again, it's very daunting, very intimidating, very intense. The way I approach it is I do what's called a read through, which is self-explanatory. I read through the entire manuscript exactly how it is. And you're probably like, well, Marcelina, don't you do that as you go? No. I personally am not an edit as I go girly. I do not. Unless I really, really need to like reference a really major plot point, or I'm for some reason pulling a quote for an edit or something. Actually, I haven't made many quote edits in the last couple months, so that doesn't really apply. But you know what I mean. I never look back at what I wrote in the first draft. So for example, I wrote the first chapter of this book like the end of May. Vlogged that, of course. After that, the next 2 months, as I was writing all in June, all in July, did I go back and reread the first chapter for any reason? No. What I'm trying to say is, for example, I have not read that first chapter since May. So it's going to be very, very interesting. But because of that, I like to do a full read through, not just because I haven't read any of this back yet. I just write and I don't read it back. But also because I haven't read the full book yet. And I feel like that's personally, I'm going to be vulnerable for a second. That's one of the things I struggle with, my pacing, 1000%. I suck at pacing. I'm going to be honest. Like, this is a safe space for me to be honest, and my pacing is horrible. I just make things way too fast, especially I think because I'm strictly a standalone girly. And with standalones, you kind of have to make things really fast. So I love slow burn, but I can't write slow burn to save my life. I don't write insta love or anything like that because I hate that. But mine's just kind of somewhere in the middle because I think I strictly write standalones. Like I only know how to write like really fast-paced stuff. So like you'll see a lot of the bad reviews of my other books being like, this book took place between 2 days. That's way too fast. I'm just like, I don't know how to write anything that takes place over months. That's too slow for me. So I think that reading your book literally front to back in one sitting, preferably. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that because I have a very, very, very busy schedule. My school starts in exactly a week from today, sophomore year of high school. So I don't know. But ideally in one sitting, you just read it like a reader. Like I'm a binger. I typically binge books in one night. So just kind of have that same mindset as fast as you read books, like just binge it and pretend you're a reader. And that really gives you an objective sense of like the pacing. Is this going too fast? Is this going too slow? If you're reading it basically front cover to back cover. As I'm doing that read through, along the way, instead of again editing as I go, tweaking as I go, coming across a plot hole and then immediately stopping my reading to take a couple days to fix it, because I write in Google Docs. I've gotten so many questions about that. I write in Google Docs, not Microsoft Word. I know most writers, especially like traditionally published authors, when they talk about it, they use Word. And there's something against it. Docs is what I'm comfortable in. I know all the features and the settings. so well. It's the easiest to format, but really whatever you'd like. Then, and I know Word has it too. I'm not acting like Docs is special, but you know the comment feature in Google Docs? I'm annotating. I am not an annotative reader. I do not trust myself to write in a book. Even to get like tabs. That's probably my favorite part about a Kindle is because I can annotate without like actually ruining anything. But anyway, I basically go outside my comfort zone and I'm annotating the heck out of the document. I'm just making little comments, and it's essentially crazy, wild comments in my own language, basically, of things to change. So I think later in this video, I might show some examples of like some of my comments, and I do weekly vlogs, by the way, so I'm not going to get this whole draft done in this vlog. This is kind of part 1. I'm planning to do this for a month, so maybe like part 1 out of 3 or 4 videos. So maybe in some later vlogs, I'll show like my actual real-time comments, but I'll leave the most unhinged things. I'll be like, hello, what was Miss Girl thinking? This contradicts something she said in chapter 10. Rewrite this. I'm basically giving myself little instructions, but of course, being me, I have to make it like chaotic and quirky and funny because I love my little references and I love just being chaotic. So I do that, but I basically just tell myself, and I mean in a casual, informal way, but I basically just like, hey, there's a plot hole here. This doesn't match what she said in this chapter. I left this cliffhangery type question and I never addressed it, and I either need to A, address it, add a scene to do that, or just scrap this completely and then rewrite the end of the chapter. Or like I'll just kind of give myself things like that. Like I said, I'll give examples later on. I haven't even started the read through yet, so I don't have any to give you all yet. And that just kind of allows me to focus on one thing at a time, because that's something about me. Not that I can't multitask, but specifically with like books and writing, that's why I'm not an edit as I go kind of person, because it's too much for my brain to handle and I get overwhelmed, and then I just like, if I get too overstimulated, I just stop working on it altogether, and then that's how I don't finish my books. So in order to like keep me calm and just one day at a time, one step at a time kind of mindset, I just keep moving forward. But again, I just make a little comment every time I run into something so I don't forget it, I can come back to it. And then the fun part, because then when I'm done with my read through, I have all of these annotations of basically my notes to myself of like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And then I can sift through them. And the fun part of that is I don't have to go in order. For once in the process of editing and writing, I do not have to go in chronological order. I tend to do the easy stuff first. So for example, if there's this one really minor thing in chapter 38, that's basically just like, switch this character's name so it fits their ethnicity a little better. That's actually a real example that I have to do with a certain character. That is such an easy fix. So I might do that first. And then I can check it off, and it gives me something because I feel accomplished because I did something and I checked something off the list. But I can just kind of sift through them at my own leisure if I have a spare minute between a class or before I go to bed. Like, it's not something that I have to sit down and I'm like, okay, I gotta gear up, I have to write this whole intense scene. Like, I can just kind of pick and choose through my like comment checklist of revisions that I have to do, pick which one I feel like I want to do, I'm in the mood for, I have motivation for, like I have an idea of how to change it and how to go about doing that, and then I can just do it and work my way through the comments. I think with The Bold That Divides Us, I ended up having 120 total comments, something like that. So I expect this draft, I've said this in my other videos, this draft is like 10 times messier than The Bold That Divides Us. So I'm expecting closer to 200, if I'm being completely real. We shall see though. I will update y'all. Again, this is still the intro. I promise this whole video is not going to be me yapping. I just want to give y'all a rundown because from here on out, I'm just going to be giving updates. My process, I feel like, I don't want to be like, oh, no one else does this like me. Like, I got this method from another author tuber. Okay, I know there are a lot of people who probably do things a similar way, but I feel like my process is kind of unique, and I wanted to explain it, break it down. Also, that means that the intros to my other few videos will probably be shorter because you can always just reference this for like my plan for the next month. So anyway, I need to go. I am so tired. It's been a long day. I don't know if I'll start reading tonight. I kind of started the prologue. Yeah, that's basically my mission. Oh, and I forgot to mention the read through. Today is August 4th, like I mentioned. And I want to finish the read through in exactly this 5-day week. By the nighttime, when I go to bed, on Friday, August 8th, I want to have this read through done, because again, September 4th is like my deadline that all revisions need to be done. So then I'll give myself slightly less than a month to like actually make the changes. You know what I mean? I feel like I shouldn't give myself that much time to read through it. Like the main focus, the main point of this next month is the revisions, is the changes. And I already know there are going to be some really massive changes that might take days for just one singular change. So I need to be mindful of that. So yeah, basically 4 days, because I might start tomorrow, low-key, or tonight. We'll see. I'll update y'all. To read through this 442-page book, annotate, make comments as I go, and kind of just get like a service level synopsis of what I need to change. Let's go. Okay guys, this is a very impromptu update. It's currently noon. I'm about to go eat like a really late breakfast, lunch, brunch thing. I don't even know, little breakfast sandwich I'm gonna make. But I wanted to update you. We are still reading. I mean, I kind of just started. We're on chapter 5, which is exciting. I mean, like, we just started chapter 5. I've read 4 chapters, and I've made a lot of really good comments so far. Some of them are funny. Like one of my comments, I wrote, "Girl, bye," with a crying emoji. What is this? Rewrite with a less cringy insult, because I suck at insulting people, so that comes clear in my writing apparently. Oh, and then this is one of my favorite comments I've made so far, because I highlighted the wording of a self-proclaimed mean girl, and the comment I left myself was, "This doesn't even make sense. How does someone label themselves as mean? I mean, yay for self-awareness, I guess." So we have that, and then we have a good mixture of me just being like, stronger impact of an introduction, one that'll leave a lasting imprint on her. Fact check this and make sure it's consistent with other mentions. Rewrite to keep the essence of the apology. Name change. This was a loose end I never tied back to, so either scrap this theory completely or circle back to it later. So I have a wide variety of my style for the comments, but I've probably left a good 20 so far. And I've only read 4 chapters. Well, technically 5 with the prologue. It's going well. The first chapter, the prose is so much cleaner than I remember. Like, it's so much more polished than I remember. But also, like, I hate chapter 2. Like, not just like the plot. Like, I hate my writing. Like, my writing was like top tier in chapter 1, and then it sucks in chapter 2 and 3. What is going on? I don't know. I gotta fix that. But I will update you guys later. Guys. Okay, pause. This is the most anticlimactic update in the history of anticlimactic updates, but it's currently 9:27. I'm pretty sure the last time I updated you, it was like Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, so it's actually Saturday now. Yeah, you heard me. August 9th. It is almost a week later from when I originally said that I was gonna start editing. After I gave that last little update that I was like 4 chapters in or whatever, I've not touched the manuscript since. Yay! There goes my totally arbitrary deadline of finishing the read through by Friday the 8th and starting edits today. No, we are not even anywhere near the end of this read through. We haven't even made a dent in it, okay? Just personal life things, student council events. I've been working back-to-back shifts all week. We had this big barbecue on Thursday, and I've just been so drained and tired lately. The only thing kicking my butt into gear and reminding me, like, Marcelina, you can't procrastinate, other than the looming thought of beta readers and the fact that I've already, like, promised them, and they've already promised me, and they've already marked their calendars for it, and carved out time in their schedule for like the time that I told them it would be ready, and I don't want to say, oh, by the way, it's not ready. Like, I know they're really sweet and I know they'll be understanding, but I just don't want to do that. That's really messed up of me. So other than that, it's the fact that my school starts on Monday. It starts on the 11th, and I'm low-key freaking out. I know I'm just hanging on to the threads of my last few days of summer break. This is the last crumb that I have of free time, of being able to sleep in as late as I want, stay up as late as I want, work whenever I want. Like, I need to take advantage of it and make the most of it. I have edited like 8 or so chapters, so we are currently sitting at chapter 11 for the read through still, I should emphasize. I have made a couple of like minor tweaks, but like I said, I do my read through first, make the comments, then go back. So I haven't touched my previous comments, but in terms of what I've read through, it's really interesting because I totally forgot about like the writing style and how like vastly different it is from my previous work, which is really weird. Maybe it's because I'm slightly insecure because I got a lot of negative reviews, people saying how much they hate my writing style. So that was lovely for my self-esteem, and maybe that was getting in my head, but like my writing style is just so different. I'm living for it. And Natalia's voice, hello, like chef's kiss. I've said this before and I'll say it again. She is such a sophisticated character. So sophisticated, so brilliant, so like mature and perceptive for her age. I mean, come on, she's only 16. So anyway, that's been a blast. I've surprised myself. I'm like, dang, how am I supposed to match this? Because this is actually really good. I know I said the draft was messy, but I think I was excluding these first few chapters because it's actually really dang good. But I will say the chapter I just read, chapter 10, it fits perfectly with an edit that I actually just finished making that I plan to post tomorrow. And it is like a Meet the Bureau kind of edit. And chapter 10 is literally where Natalia meets the members of the Bureau. So I don't anticipate me changing chapters, at least this early on. Look forward to that. It's really... I laugh so many times. It's definitely one of those where it kind of sets the foundation for like the roles and stuff, so it's kind of important. You might want to take notes, but it's also really satirical and really comical, and everyone is so snarky and flirty, and it's literally the funniest thing. It's like this piece of gold, this nugget of gold that I stumbled across. The rest of the draft is still looking rough, but I'm just like, wait, this is so funny. This is so iconic. So anyway, I just wanted to update y'all. That's where I'm at. I would say new deadline. I don't want to put too many deadlines on it. Also, by the way, sorry, I keep shifting lighting. I keep trying to find a lighting, but I don't really want to put a deadline on this anymore because you saw how well that worked out last time. Tomorrow I'm probably going to be busy. I'll be lucky if I can give y'all an update because since my school starts on Monday, like I want to do a bunch of skincare stuff, get ready, straighten my hair, paint my nails, like all that prep kind of stuff. So we'll see what I can get done, but if I do end up working on it, I'll let you know, of course. And I honestly just think it's one of those, it'll get done when it gets done. I'm on chapter 11, there's 64 chapters. I think as long as I get it done by the end of this like upcoming week, so like this upcoming Friday, it's done, I'll be set. Because so far, and I don't want to jinx myself, where's wood? Knock on wood here. There's not been any major plot holes. There have been tiny ones. There have been, I would say the biggest things was I have to add a whole new scene, 10 paragraph chunks of dialogue, reflections, like this whole brand new scene. Not rewrite it, like I have to make it from scratch. So that'll be great. Yay. I think that's the biggest thing so far, but it's all been little things, which is a good sign. However, I don't want to get too optimistic because I remember that all of the major like plot inconsistencies and gaps and holes kind of come later when things start getting more complex, and the nuances of specifically Allison's timeline and how that corresponds with the other members of the Bureau's timeline intertwine. That's where things start getting really messy, and that's where I need to start like fixing things. So I'm just waiting for something big to blow up in my face. But moral of the story, we're a little behind schedule, but at the end of the day, it's fine, it's whatever. It's going good, I guess. Okay guys, don't mind me over here. I just woke up. However, I wanted to give a little bit of an update. Have I finished the read through? I swear, I thought this was going to be more of like a productive editing vlog, but I'm pretty sure this entire vlog is just going to be about the read through because it's already Sunday, and if you know me, I usually like to finish my vlogs around Wednesday so that I can dedicate Thursday to the finishing touches because I like to edit the clips as I go. However, I already had to push this vlog back a week because of time constraints and school. I started school. Did I mention that? I'm really tired and really drained because I already had my first test. We had homework. I have 2 more tests next week. Picture day tomorrow, actually. Like, I'm very busy. So yeah, that's affecting my reading time. So we're only about a third of the way through the read through. However, it's going really well. I did some last night because, you know, what does a girl do when they're pressed for time and they literally have no other time in their day? When they do have time on a weekend, when they don't have to get up early for school, they stay up until 3 in the morning. That's what they do. So yes, I stayed up until 3 in the morning last night to read and make comments and notes in the manuscript, but it was worth it because let me tell you, I am at that stage, and I think my main purpose of recording this clip is to show you the absolute ups and downs you can go through as a writer, because I don't know if you can really tell from the other clips, I've kind of been feeling down about this. It's hard because I had such high expectations and then I was just like rushed into this, and then with school I've been going so much slower than I want to, which is a really sucky feeling. But sometimes you reach this point where you're just like, wait, why do I kind of love this book now? Like, wait, I wrote that? Or like you read it, even just a line, even just a singular piece of dialogue, and you're like, wait, I wrote that? Me? You know what I mean? And it's the best feeling. And it's not even in like a selfish or cocky way, but it's like you're kind of in shock, but it's like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even really notice, and that's like amazing, and like you know what I mean? And I think that is the experience I had last night, but not with just a singular line. For 2 whole chapters I had that feeling rushing through me where I was like, why is this kind of good? Because I've low-key been hate reading a little bit, not even intentionally. That's not my goal. I promise that's not how I edit. It's just like, I don't know, especially with my dialogue. Sometimes I'm just like, what is this? Like, so my dialogue can sometimes sound a little bit like stilted or cringy, and I'm just like, maybe this is just me being too harsh on myself, but I'm like, ew, what? Prior to my last book, I had like no following, no readers, but I feel like now I have so many readers. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. Did I mention that in here? I don't know. At the moment, as of recording, I'm at 919, which is wild. Like, what do you mean we could possibly hit 1,000 before my birthday, which is November 29th? Like, that is insane. Anyway, I also, if you're watching this, I haven't announced it yet, I don't think. There's no time, there's no date attached to it. But whenever I do hit 1,000 subscribers, I am going to post the entire prologue just out there, probably in the community post. I was going to share a Google Doc, but I feel like a community post would be easier. Like, I'm literally going to share. Nothing's going to be hidden or redacted. Like, I'm gonna share the full prologue. So get me to 1,000, please and thank you. I love you. Anyway, I feel like now that I have a lot of readers, I mean, even looking at subscribers alone, I had 500 when The Blood That Divides Us released. So when I was like in this stage, when I was in draft 2 dev edits, I mean, I don't know, I probably had like, I'd have to look back at records, like 200 or 300. Like, I did not have that many, so my optimism wasn't very high that people were going to read this. But I feel like now that I know, like, oh wow, people do read it, I'm putting a little bit more pressure on myself. So I feel like I have been hate reading a little bit sometimes, which isn't good. I wouldn't recommend that, but also like you do kind of have to be tough on yourself because I am sending it to beta readers in like 3 weeks. So if I'm not tough on myself, they're going to be, which is fine. I want them to be tough on me, but you know what I mean? But it got to a point where last night I read the chapters I was reading and I was like, I kind of ate with this. Like, I was just sitting there. I'm actually feeling really confident. So if you're having a similar experience, please just know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Almost like anything and everything else in this world, like, things will always get better. There'll always be dark patches where you feel like you're in a hole, and then you climb out of it somehow. You don't even know how half the times. And then there's light, and it's the best feeling, and then you feel on top of the world. Literally. I really, 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 really like my book right now, and I would work on it all day, every day, but I have homework and chores and school prep to do today. So we'll see how much I can get done. I also have a video to finish editing. Ugh. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. We'll see how much I can get done, but I'm feeling really, really good about this book right now. And the best part is the chapter I'm about to read that I stopped on last night is arguably my favorite chapter in the book. So I know I'm gonna have a blast going through it. Yay! Guys, guess who gets to read chapter 17 first? It's me. It's not you guys. JK, it's not something to be all giddy about because chapter 17 is easily the most depressing, gut-wrenching, emotionally provoking, throw your book across the room, scream, yell at me, curse at me in every language kind of chapter ever written in existence. You're welcome. You guys are gonna hate me. Like, I am saying this fully knowing I could potentially get 1-star reviews just because of this chapter alone. Like, that's how bad it is. So, but it's also really cute because the first chapter happens in there and there's a lot of banter, but then there's also the saddest backstory I've ever written in my life. Hint, hint, if you've been following along with this journey, it has to do with Lilith. Okay, this isn't even a book or writing or editing related update. I mean, it is kind of book related because it does tie into Labeled Innocent, Presumed Dead. But oh my gosh, I'm like fangirling. I have been waiting all day to share this update. I just got home from school and this thing happened in first period, like at 7 in the morning, and I've been dying to make an update all day. But the craziest coincidence occurred. You will never believe it. My teacher tends to play music every class period in the background when we're working, and it's very soft, very, very quiet, and I sit kind of in the back, so I can't really hear it, but you can just hear it enough. I had finished my assignment. I was going on my phone because it was just like 5 minutes left of class, nothing else to do. I was reading through the manuscript, finishing up my read through, making a few comments, and mind you, I'm currently reading through a romance scene, a little kiss scene, maybe? Perhaps. And then I hear what song he has on in the background, and it's East Side by Benny Blanco and Halsey, which you're probably like, okay, that was like really popular, you know, 6, 7, 8 years ago. What's the big deal? Guys, for y'all who don't know, which you should know, but there is a Spotify playlist for Labeled Innocent, Presumed Dead. I will link it in the description down below. It's always linked in the description down below. You should totally go check it out and follow it because there's a lot of foreshadowing and cool hints that you might find if you listen to some of the songs. But you'll notice East Side is on the playlist. Why is East Side on the playlist? I don't know. You listen to the lyrics and like analyze them. Like, please, I'm like giddy about this because I don't want to spoil anything because I've done some speculation. Guys, Allison and Santiago were not dating. They are not a couple. Yes, there is a correlation between them. Yes, they didn't know each other, but they did not date. There's nothing romantic, I promise. But Allison did have a boyfriend that is quite sus. And if you listen to East Side and you really pay attention to the lyrics about like a secret relationship and sneaking around, and that's just kind of how it fell apart due to like life circumstances and just like things didn't pan out. That describes a lot of things, and it is such big foreshadowing for a twist that happens. So anyway, there's a lot of symbolism with like other parts of the romance and other parts of just like the bureau in general. And anyway, that was the most random thing ever, but I just thought it was hilarious and so ironic and so symbolic, and I was like dying inside. I was trying so hard not to like kick my feet and giggle and squeal in the middle of chemistry class, because the scene I was reading, like the kiss scene between two characters and like the correlation with East Side and like oh my gosh, just like the meaning of it and like how much it means to this book is crazy. I think I'm the only one that fully knows right now because at the moment no one else has read this. I was like, I think this is a sign from the universe that I need to hurry up. I need to stop procrastinating, stop dragging my feet. I need to finish this read through and get this book in a stage that I'm proud of and polish this thing up, because my motivation's been low, and I think this is a sign I need to keep going, because I was reminded the entire reason I want to write this book is because of Allison. So now I'm gonna go listen to East Side because I'm gonna cry. Star-crossed lovers is all I'm gonna say. That's a trope. A micro trope, because it's more around Allison, and Allison's like not the main character by any means, but like, anyway, back to homework, back to editing. Do you ever read something that just makes you go and like hit your feet and giggle and squeal as a reader? Yes, imagine that, but like from the perspective of a writer, and what you're squealing and giggling and kicking your feet at is something you wrote. Yeah, so that just happened to me. I'm gonna put the comment that I left for this scene editorially, but it's actually really satirical at the same time. I was dying. No context. Y'all get absolutely zero context. You're welcome. You'll see exactly what scene that is when you read it, but wow, was that an interesting moment of my life. Okay, we're going to please ignore how my tongue is bright red and my lips are pretty red too. I promise this is not a lipstick gone wrong situation. I literally just got home from school, and in my last period AP seminar class, I was sucking on a ring pop, a cherry ring pop. So please ignore that. But anyway, one little update I want to harp on though before I give my closing thoughts and the outro. I was reading through a scene earlier today. I was just kind of squealing to myself because I was like, this is so Cassie Hobbs coded, like what the heck. Now, if you don't know, Cassie Hobbs is the lovely, super intelligent, super admirable main character that I aspire to be like because she's awesome, and she's so underrated and does not get enough love. From the very popular Naturals series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. If you didn't know, I feel like everyone just knows her for the Inheritance games. Hot take, the Naturals is better. What? Who said that? Who said that? I don't know. Also, if you didn't know, Labeled Innocent Presumed Dead is heavily inspired by the Naturals, and that's kind of like the comparison I use a lot of the times because yes, it's like the Inheritance games too, I'm not gonna lie. And yes, it has influences of Pretty Little Liars and A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, but the Naturals is like what I take most inspiration from in terms of like FBI stuff, secret societies, kind of like the lipstick killer element. If you've read that, if you know, you know. But anyway, I'm obsessed with that series. If you didn't know, welcome to History of Marcelina. There are 5 book series I could yap about forever. Boys of Tommen, ACOTAR, Powerless, Shatter Me, and Naturals. So, the Naturals is kind of what it sounds like. I always used to think before I read it, and I was so ignorant about it, I thought it was like more of a fantasy, or it had fantasy elements and there was like actual abilities. But when they say natural abilities, it's just kind of like these talents that these kids just happen to be born with, or they were fostered due to their upbringings. So like, for example, Leah, who Era is very similarly based off of, is a lie detector. So she has a really good knack for knowing when people are lying, you know, how to like read their facial expressions when they're exaggerating things, and it comes in handy and it's so funny. But Cassie and Dean too, actually, he's one of the MMCs, they're both profilers. So their natural ability is like being able to psychologically read people, essentially. It's hard to explain without going on a whole tangent about it, but they can tell based on someone's appearance, posture, like a million things about them. So I'm trying to think of like an example from the books. Like you could tell if someone was married with kids just based on their clothes and their hairstyle. And then Cassie would go on this whole internal monologue of like, her hair was up in a bun, which means that she could be a single mother and exhausted, letting go of her particularity of appearance out in public. Like, I don't know, that was so random, but like that kind of thing. And I've always been fascinated by that because I know that that's fiction, and like obviously Cassie and Dean are fictional, but like that whole concept, because I do know that there is psychological research to that, and I haven't actually dug that much into it, but I heard somewhere that Jennifer Lynn Barnes actually like majored in psychology, or she has a degree, which makes so much sense. If you've read her books, it makes so much sense. But it's like, I know that that is a real part of psychology, and I'm actually interested in majoring in it as well. I'm going back and forth between majoring in creative writing or psychology, to be completely honest. But anyway, enough about me. It's always just been really interesting how that could actually be applicable. Not to that extent or to that level of specificity, but like certain environmental factors can tell you so much about them. Like even something as simple as like how someone keeps their room. You know, there was this thing, was it on TikTok? I don't remember, where it's like people, that's kind of a sign of depression, is if people, the room is a complete mess, like, which I'm just like, oh. But I do think there is some sliver of truth to that. Like, if you have someone who always keeps a neat and tidy room on their own without their parents like nagging at them too, that can symbolize more about them, that like they're a perfectionist, that they, you know, feel like everything has to be neat, everything in their life has to be organized, that they're probably a really by the book, on the dot, like organized perfectionist person, versus someone who maybe has like a super messy room. Maybe their thoughts are scattered, maybe they get really overwhelmed easily, they have anxiety. You could just tell about them by their habits, and that seems like common knowledge until you really get into the nuances of it. But anyway, in one of the chapters I was exploring the nuances of that, and I was really getting deep into it, and I didn't realize I'd kind of copied that kind of Cassie Hobbs profiler technique. And Jaden actually was explaining like the bureau's process to Natalia, and I didn't realize it until I'm on my reread, and I'm just like, wait, the similarities are striking, and now I'm kind of worried that they're a little bit too striking and people are gonna be like, oh yeah, like this girl copied the naturals, like we have the same abilities. So that's a little worrisome, I'm not even gonna lie, but I think the context in which mine is being used is so different. That doesn't make up Natalia's skill set. She is a hacker. And by the way, if you're like, oh, you copied Sloan, I've actually been wanting to write a hacker main character long before I even read the naturals, I swear. But it's just like, I feel like, and no offense to Cassie, like I'm not saying like her profiling was her whole personality. It wasn't. Her personality was so much more complex. I do love her to pieces. She's one of my favorite female book characters. However, I feel like that does make up a lot of her internal conflict, and a lot of her internal monologue is her doing that, which I like to see, because again, because Jennifer is so skilled in psychology, it's good to see like really factual details. But Natalia is a hacker, so that's mainly like if there is any explaining or conflict there, it's with that. But this is just something that the bureau, that was actually only mentioned once, I realized, that is more of like a group organization wide policy, because they only had 5 minutes, because in this scene they're like trying to, oh my gosh, how do I say this without saying it? Basically in a serial killer's backyard, and that serial killer, we find out, is actually related to one of the main characters. But that leads to some foreshadowing, because this is her first time doing this method and like analyzing, and then she finds something that actually leads her to progressing in this case and tying it back to the bureau and tying it back to Allison and her family and their family, and it's this whole thing. But it's just like so funny how I think subconsciously our minds take inspiration from our favorite books or our favorite pieces of entertainment, or even just like real life, without even realizing it. Like, yes, I know I'm trying to be inspired by the naturals. I did not really think that through, and that wasn't something I was trying to be inspired by, but it happened, and it seems really similar. So when you read it, please don't be like, why is Marcelina literally copying? I'm not. That's something I made up off the top of my head, and I have no psychology experience. So I'm behind on Jennifer on that. I think she wins a point, and hers is probably going to be better executed than mine, but we're twisting the ways in which I am weaving this into the plot. Anyway, closing thoughts. We are almost done with the read through. I know it's stretched like a whole 40 or 45 minute vlog. I don't really know how long this is gonna end up being, but no, I haven't finished the read through yet. I know, yell at me in the comments, please. I need like motivation, and like, I'm almost done though. I have like a few more chapters and then I'll be done. I don't have time. I already pushed the vlog back last week. I need to get it out on time this week, so I don't have time for me to show me finishing, because I'm probably gonna finish this weekend, definitely by Saturday, because Sunday morning, that's when I need to vlog. Sunday morning I am sending it to someone. I'll get into the circumstances of why, because for the rest of my beta readers, I'm sending it to them the beginning of September still, so I'll explain more about what's going on this weekend. But I need to get this read through done at least. But I think what I'll do is when I finish it either tomorrow or Saturday, I'll record that, and then at the very beginning of my next vlog, I will play that clip so you guys can kind of refresh your memories and still be in the loop. So if you want to see that next vlog and get an update on when I actually do finish the read through and when I start freaking editing like I was supposed to do, because I'm just making comments right now. Like I said, no editing is taking place. You should totally subscribe to my channel. Hit that subscribe button and the bell button as well while you're at it, so you'll always be notified when I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching. I know this maybe wasn't the most interesting. I just hope it wasn't fully boring because this is a part of the process, and I'm all about being transparent, being vulnerable on here. And yes, even though this maybe isn't the like productive editing vlog y'all were hoping for, this is a real part of the process. This is unfortunately a hurdle you have to overcome before you can even like rewrite full chunks and fully rework character arcs. You have to do these little things first. This is like the prep work. We're setting the foundation, and I promise next week it's gonna be so much more fascinating. We're actually gonna get into editing. But I really appreciate you sticking around for the song if you did. All of the links to anything you could possibly want from me, it's in the description down below. And I will see you all in the next video very, very soon.